baby. I hope everybody had a good 4th. I haven't seen you guys. I mean, we did a couple of shows, but I haven't seen everybody, and I haven't seen you in it.
I know.
Since Las Vegas, and you were shaking your.
Did you go to Vegas?
Did they say Bon Bon now still, or is it something else?
You can say whatever you want.
Thank you.
That's cool. Yeah,
I don't know.
had a good time.
That's very Ricky Martin.
I went to go see James Taylor, which is such mom music, which is where people say Bon Bon.
Awesome.
Isn't that?
Because people there say Bon Bon too.
You're Bon Bon.
My favorite Taylor in Los Angeles is James Tailoring.
Oh.
It's so funny. I love a good business play on words.
Mine is John Taylor of Duran
Wait,
Duran.
I was waiting. I was like, oh, really?
Yeah, John Taylor of Duran Duran, I believe, lives in Los Angeles.
I was born under a rock. It had great window coverings. So what was going on in Vegas? Because every time I saw you on Instagram and Twitter, you weren't wearing a lot.
No,
are you doing one of those
hosting
Dancing Man reviews?
Yeah, interviews, Chippendales.
Oh, wow.
I did 36 shows in a row. It was great.
I got a pocket full of 31.
Because I think my husband might catch parts of outnumbered overtime, so I want to be careful. But I've never met anybody who could pop the buttons on their shirt while they were just sitting.
Wow.
I don't know. I caught a glimpse of you while we were covering Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, that's my talent. That's my talent.
And I looked over and I said, if he breathes hard, that Tommy Hilfiger is going to bust open. Anyway, let's move on.
So I have to tell you, like, a billion people that I went to college with in high school, and I can name them all, embarrass them. And I will. Hi, Leah Conti and Sharon Shingle and Laura Jones and a few other people who literally...
Now you're best friends.
Now my best friends are emailing me and being like, Jagger from General Hospital, and some people brought up the Level Never Do Without You video, which I must say.
Wow.
Oh, that is an amazing video.
That was an amazing video.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That is one of the sexiest videos. Who shot that?
Her Brits.
That was her Brits, God rest his soul.
God rest
An
his soul.
amazing,
That's
like, that was one of those videos that actually transformed and elevated music video.
Changed Janet, just everything.
It did. That was the video that completely galvanized her as a sex symbol. People thought of her as, a talented little sister, but then with the straight hair. But that video was so beautifully stylized and so sexy, but still subtle.
What's wrong with you? You were looking at Janet Jackson in that video?
Let me tell you. You know what I was
looking at other
people
in that video.
Like when most of us were running around just being, crazy out of college, you had a real job on MTV.
Yeah, it was my friends were in college. I signed my deal when I was 19. My friends were in college, and on the weekend I would go visit friends on the East Coast. But such a phenomenal time in
You
culture
introduced that video, didn't you? I mean, that was it.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Video Times,
Right.
I wouldn't do the job I do if it weren't for Kennedy and Tabitha Soren. Tabitha was my mentor when I was growing up, when I was 13.
Really?
Yeah, and if it weren't for MTV News, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. Easily.
How about that?
They're the first woman that showed me you could be cool and talk about politics at the same time.
Look at you.
Not to age you, Kennedy.
No, but Tabitha was the one in 1992, and that's when she made a name for herself in that election. And that was a huge political paradigm shift, and she really owned that moment. And I started in that year, and I was able to come on board and really have interesting, honest discussions about politics. It was obviously way more skewed to the left at MTV, but I was an out conservative there, and they accepted me, and I was part of the discussion. And Tabitha was a big part of that.
You guys were the only ones on the campaign trail too that dressed the way I dressed, like at the time, and I think it's so important to see
crop tops and Converse.
Tabitha Soren, I just remember when she was interviewing my dad.
Just to tell our audience, so there's truth to what Kennedy just said, because today I'm sitting in the green room and you walked in with Converse on. I'm like,
oh, I dress so different outside of work.
but super cute.
Thank you.
You and your Mr. and Mrs. Italy.
I hate wearing
and
dresses
your Converse.
and heels if I don't have to.
Well, not today because it's 100 degrees, but you do rock that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
but I'm forever indebted to you and Tabitha Soren.
Oh, I love it. That's so sweet.
Let's bust that up right now. So,
and then Antonio and I were on a sitcom together.
Really? You were not.
Yes, we were.
So,
The Help.
I got the mother look from Kennedy when I talked about the buttons on your shirt.
No, I was looking at his boobies. I was actually
It's like he could like break free, just like bam. Anyway, let's move on.
I'm like
Bruce Banner.
I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, like in the Incredible Hulk.
like an angry Bruce Banner.
Even better looking. Like I always got worried about him because his face.
Do you know what
got
makes
weird
him hotter? That he hates Hillary Clinton. That's a big turn on.
Let's
for
talk
me.
about Hillary Clinton going after Donald Trump during our hour of TV version of Outnumbered today. And Duster's buddy says, because you were talking about Hillary, he says, attack the delivery because you cannot deny the content. Your response?
You
to
can
that?
absolutely deny the content. It is completely hypocritical. She knows not of what she speaks, and there are so many ways that that she is trapped in what Plato called the knot, the aporia, and she does more damage to herself every time she opens her mouth talking about subjects where she is so poorly versed. It's obvious this stuff is written for her. There's no heart. There is no soul behind it, and that is the stuff of small business in this country. And she will never, ever know that because she has built companies out of hundreds of millions of dollars.
Senator Bulworth, I don't know if he's really a sitting member of Congress. He says 8,000 plus, Harris Faulkner. We have a record number on our live chat right now.
Wow.
Which is,
That's great.
Yeah, they're all waiting to see if you can bust out of that tunnel.
Oh, that's it?
So
8,000 plus is what I would tip Antonio on the champagne room.
All right,
I love about having you on the program because we often will hear from viewers that we really want to hear from people who are not politicians, who are not, on talk shows, who don't do this, who you're raising your family in California. I mean, you pop up every now and then, as like the Calvin Klein guy, and you do all sorts of things. But really, you're watching this as a voter. And what are you thinking about this political season right now?
Well, for me, especially, it means the world because I came from another country. We came here legally.
Where are you from?
From Rome, Italy. So we waited. We spent a lot of money to get our green cards and move to this country. So we respect and love this nation so much for the principles and everything else that to see somebody like Hillary or Obama destroying this beautiful nation in such a short amount of time. I mean, it's incredible to me that it took 240 years for this country to have a debt of $9 trillion, and this president brings it up to $20 trillion in like 7 years. We've had more mass attacks, and really killings more during this president than any other presidents put together. Benghazi, which is personal to me. I know a lot of people, and what she did with Benghazi.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I finally saw 13 Hours, and I've told everyone who will listen, you have to see that movie because they cannot abandon Americans like that. And the fact that the President of the United States and the Defense Secretary gave an order to have military assets deployed, and they weren't.
And we were 2 hours away. We could have made it, and we could have saved those 4 men.
But they were having a meeting. She was having a meeting with senior advisors in the White House to talk about media messaging while people were dying. It is so offensive, it gets my blood boiling.
Trey Gowdy, actually, are we talking about 13 Hours, or are we talking about what Trey Gowdy talked about, which is reality? Because
Wait a minute. No one has disputed that I'm not talking about facts in that film.
No. But what I'm talking about is if you look at the Gowdy report, which I think was the 7th or 8th round, it really left her out of it. It didn't put the blame at her feet. And I know people are dying to politicize this for her, but the reality is there are a lot of mistakes that were made. There were a lot
I'm not dying to politicize it. She sent an email to her daughter saying it was terrorism then told the American public that it was because of a quote spontaneous video.
Yeah, but she told the foreign minister in Egypt that it had nothing to do with the video. That it was a campaign saving Hail Mary to say that it was somehow a video protest, and then the president had the stones to go before the UN and shame the American public on the issue of free speech. How dare he, when that had nothing to do with it. It was terrorism, and they let those people die. Plain and simple. They were changing in and out of uniforms.
That's not what the Gowdy report says.
That's exactly what they weren't. The Marines weren't changing in and out of uniforms.
Can I just say something? Ambassador Stevens was a very good friend of my father's, and my father was visiting him in Tripoli about a month before he died. And the stories he told me about Ambassador Stevens, he's a deeply good man who believed in America, who believed in freedom, believed in democracy. There is no reason for him to die, especially in the graphic way that he did. And it will forever be something she has to live with, and she will have to speak to our creator about her culpability.
That's not what Ambassador Stevens' sister said. That's not what she said. Ambassador Stevens' sister said quite the opposite. So
I'm telling you what John McCain and Meghan McCain say.
What about Tyrone? I've forgotten his name right now, and other family members who have said the exact opposite.
Fine, we're talking about Ambassador
Stevens. Are their lives worth less?
No, excuse
because
me.
they weren't an ambassador?
Ambassador Stevens. Don't change the subject. Meghan brought up Ambassador Stevens.
That's not changing the subject at all.
I'm saying to you what Ambassador Stevens' sister said.
Yeah, you're talking about the family members' response.
She lied to the family members on the day where the caskets were brought into the United States.
She lied to their faces in that sacred
and there's
moment.
nothing no one can say about that or change it. So to look in somebody's face and to lie to those people while their body's right there in the casket is the worst you could ever do.
Well, so let me just say this to our point of what we're talking about on TV. You asked what Donald Trump can do better. What I would suggest the Republicans not do, which is what they're well on their way to doing right now, is what they did with Benghazi, which is have 7 or 8, I don't even know how many, I lost track of how many investigations they had into something, where people are now starting to say, you have taken a tragedy, and it is a tragedy, and people did die, and you have politicized it to such an extent that it has become unfathomable to people as to what is going on.
No, a politicization would be if she were the sole subject of that report. The fact that they actually took their time, and there were dissenting Republicans.
I've got some breaking news. We've been talking about Donald Trump on the stump and who he's going to appear with at his rally. Okay, he's going to appear with Newt Gingrich tonight. He appeared with whom yesterday? Bob Corker. Okay. According to the Washington Post, Corker has withdrawn his name as a potential Trump running mate.
I knew it.
Why?
Because I think it's going to be Newt. Well, I think it's already been chosen. No one has told me nothing. My gut is telling me that he needs a Washington insider. Yes. He needs someone who could also go up to him and call him out, which Newt has done numerous times publicly, and he fills a lot of voids. And Bob Corker is not this is an exciting entertainer. He wants an exciting, entertaining pitch and to the American public, and Newt fills that a lot
Let's
more.
not forget, and this is the thing that strikes me most, because I agree with you. I think it's going to be Newt Gingrich. Would he be my first choice? No, I wouldn't run as a Republican. That's fun. But what Newt Gingrich does bring is a long-standing blood feud with the Clintons.
Yeah.
And he can go after them personally and in a way that a lot of other people can't. He's a very succinct debater.
Yep.
And he's able to...
He's the most effective Trump surrogate there is, too.
Yeah.
And Bob Corker and Jeff Sessions and so many other people, they continuously fail and look, I wouldn't say green, but they're not at the level that Newt Gingrich is. And every time he speaks, he's almost like a poet. And you don't like him. I really like Newt
Newt Gingrich?
I
don't dislike Newt Gingrich. He's obviously much more of a statist than I personally would ever run with. 2020, perfect vision. And Callista Gingrich plays the French horn.
All right, so I'm putting this out on the
horn.
live chat and getting a lot of response now. I want to give you the chance to have the last word on this. So who should he choose as his VP, Donald Trump?
Newt. Yeah, he's the right guy. I mean, he's been speaking for him for quite a while. He's been on the news. He's very articulate. He just knows his stuff. Very smart. People like him. I like him.
I was just going to ask about likability and how you think that would go.
He's strong. He looks good next to Trump, and they make a good team.
All right, so we're going to see that tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, and Bob Corker has withdrawn his name, according to the Washington Post.
Corker?
Yeah.
I barely knew her.
Interesting. Yeah. He's uncorked himself. Did I not call him Bob Corker?
No, you did. No, it's a bad joke.
My goodness. Okay, he's uncorked himself from the VP potentials. And we'll go forth. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Harris.
We'll see you tomorrow.
I got it.